Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. Had to wait a little bit here to
hear the horns.
Get the horns going. That's right.
Yeah.
That's Sing Sing, I think, by Benny Goodman.
Yeah.
But if you're just joining us this morning on Where You Live, our first segment, Property Management in the News, we're talking about this news piece that came out of Colorado where the Homeowners Association was putting down a ramp that was put up.
They were taking it down. Here's our story thus far.
Yeah.
In this building, the one and only elevator broke down unexpectedly. The Homeowners Association board met with the residents of that building because they knew they had some disabled people in the building and they wanted to get a plan of action going right away. They spoke to the people in the building. Charlotte Vale, one of their first floor residents, said that she wanted to put a ramp down the front steps so that she could get to her car. The association and Linda Reifman, the manager, said this board's very sensitive and thoughtful. They knew that Charlotte couldn't get to the underground parking with the elevator out of commission, so they added handicap parking to the surface lot. Now Charlotte's request was, I need help getting down the stairs to the surface parking, so I want to install a ramp, correct? And Linda tells us the board said, yes, but we need to research it first. We need to find out about liability, risk, cost, and how to get it installed. Charlotte went ahead and put a temporary ramp of some kind up. The board took it down, and Charlotte's very upset.
And let's talk about that. And again, we're happy to have on the phone with us Linda Reifman, who's the president of Colorado Property Management Group and the professional association management firm managing this association. So, Linda, that sounds about right so far, how Tony kind of capsulized it?
Perfect. Very, very good capitalization.
Okay.
There, Tony.
So,
just to let you know, this wasn't going to be a long, drawn-out, 30-day process to look at the ramp. As soon as the board said to Colorado Property Management Group, because of course the board gives the direction to the management company, as you know, and we carry that out. We were beginning to, in fact, take a look at what we could do there that would meet the reasonable accommodations of the Fair Housing
Yeah, sure.
Act.
This was an urgent issue, an emergency issue,
and so
probably.
And so
it
was
something we haven't mentioned that I really want to emphasize, and I did with Ms. Hammett of the television news station.
Yeah.
When there's an emergency, as you know, if you manage high-rise buildings, the elevator shuts down. That's its function.
That's right.
It shuts.
That's a very good point. So
have you been in an elevator and in a high-rise building and it says in case of fire?
There you go. That's right. Don't use this elevator. Use the stairs. So,
you can't, so it shuts down in an emergency. That's what it's supposed to do. And then what happens? The firefighting team comes.
Yes.
And they either go up the stairs to get people. They use ladders. They use nets. They use cherry pickers. They use different kinds of equipment.
Yes. So in any event, had there been an emergency while this elevator was broken down, it wouldn't matter. If the elevator was functioning, it would shut down in the event of a fire or some other emergency requiring evacuation of the building.
Thank you for reiterating that. Yeah. That's so important, and I think your listeners need to be very aware.
Excellent point.
They're in a multi-story building, and there's or if they're in a building with with an elevator, then they need to realize that elevator. I mean, for example, if you have a power outage, many times that will shut the elevator down.
Oh, sure.
So here we have, Linda, the news media. They're just trying to make more hay and just making this a more salacious news piece. Sensational because they asked you the question. So how are these people supposed to get out? And you're being very matter of fact, saying, well, the fire department will do that. It comes across in this article as being uncaring, but what a different side of the story we hear when you begin to consider that the elevator isn't going to be used anyway.
And then when these homeowners say, put ramps, I shouldn't say that. When maybe one homeowner says, put ramps in the stairwell, then you've got, that doesn't, think that through. If there was a ramp, you'd go sliding down it.
Oh,
yeah, good point.
The steep of the angle on second and third floor would rival any roller coaster ride.
These residents, all they have to do is call us. We have the team of volunteers. One of our board members actually lives in that building. And we will do all we can. If medical equipment like what do you call them, oxygen tanks or would need to be delivered or something like that, well, the delivery person's just going to have to go up the stairs. To do that.
Right.
So here we have a case where something unexpected takes place, and you have the best of neighbors here saying,
with
hey,
the best of intentions.
If you need help, we'll help you up and down stairs if you want to stay in your home. The management company says, hey, if you need to make other arrangements, you certainly can. Linda, also talk about the HO6. I don't think sometimes people
you
who
mentioned that in our conversation that we had at the end of last week.
Yeah.
And I actually, that's the one piece that didn't even think about it. But if homeowners should in condominiums have all homeowners and all the associations should, but at the moment we can't mandate that here in Colorado.
We can't in Minnesota either.
But in any event, homeowners insurance and the typical policies called HO6. In that policy, which I live in a single family home in a non-HOA, by the way, so I'm not familiar with that. But it may have, or you can talk to your agent. It may have a rider that talks about relocation accommodation if you can't stay in your home.
That's an excellent idea.
In fact, I think my personal insurance here in my small home in Aurora I want to look into it now to see if I have, something, should happen while I have to leave the home for any extended period of time. Do I have rental? Do I have something can I move into have rental?
Yeah.
So yes, rental accommodations. So that's something that homeowners and tomorrow when I get back to the office, I'm going to look into that and see if we can't put out a bulletin to those homeowners in that building and have them check it. Although we expect the elevator contractor that is putting this elevator back together expects to have it done in less than the 6 weeks period. So
that's
we're probably
good. That's good.
Pretty
so
close.
The Charlotte Vale was aware that she was moving into a homeowners association in a high-rise with an elevator. She knows there's governing documents. She knows there's rules and regulations. From my perspective, like so many homeowners, her mistake is taking action and modifying common areas without first going through the process to get approval from the board. Is that right?
When you come to Colorado, Tony, look me up. I'm always looking for an association manager.
Right. Did you hear that, Gene?
Yeah, I'm going to fight for her.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because of course, in addition to buying your home in a covenant community, you have a contract with your association, regardless of its type.
Yeah.
And many homeowners. This is sometimes a rude awakening down the road, but I must say homeowners seem to be more looking into it and being more knowledgeable before many of them come in.
I would agree.
I agree. That's changed in Minnesota a lot in the last 15 years.
You know what? That's a good thing.
Yes,
I'll have a homeowner call and say, look, if I'm going to move into this, I'm going to buy this single family home in this community, I want to know that I can put up a basketball hoop. I want to know that I can, add on in addition to my back. So
a 30-foot flagpole. Flagpoles are hot issues right now in Minnesota.
Well, here they, yes, they are. But we have, there has been some statutes coming down where flags. Well, that's off the subject.
But you know what, Linda? You bring up a very good point in this conversation, and that is that a lot of the regulation we work with is state by state, isn't it? So you need to know what the state says about homeowners associations too, if you're going to live in one.
Let's circle back around to this meeting that the board had. We weren't there. They did this because that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And remembering that our boards again are volunteers.
That's right.
It's the management company we are the ones that are tasked with knowing the ordinances.
There you go.
Good
knowing
point.
What can be done.
There you go.
Knowing what can't be done. And when a board member, and this was she's only been on this board and hadn't been on any other boards for less than a year.
Yeah.
And so when she makes a statement, inappropriately and somewhat inaccurately that 80-day doesn't have to be complied with when she was asked that.
Yeah.
She should have said, let us check with our management company.
Sure. But like you said, she's not a professional, and she's
But that happens.
Yeah. The management team. That's our job, and we provide 2 or 3 times a year. We have one coming up beginning of June. We provide workshops for all of our board members, and we have great turnout on many topics. In fact, in 2008, we did one on fair housing and how it affects how it affects associations.
That sounds great. I can say we've got to wrap it up here, but Linda, let me just say that it's been a pleasure having you on the phone with us this morning, and it's great to get the other side of the story. Yes. And I can tell you that I think that the Bayberry condominiums are well served with you all as their property management company. So thanks so much for taking time to be with us this morning.
Jean and Tony, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
It brings to mind something. In the state of Minnesota, we've been saying this in the industry for several years, and that is that I think there needs to be more fair housing training for board members that we manage our customers and as a whole in the state. Realtors are required to take it every 2 years. We're licensed realtors. We take it every 2 years, but our boards sometimes don't understand the implications of it.
Well, one of the things you heard from Linda, and it's something that we do as well, and I think a lot of other management companies are beginning to do, and that is seeing the need for continual education of homeowners, because you're right. You cannot expect someone who is a homeowner now to have this great responsibility placed on them, being on the board of directors, to now know everything that's going on. That's why they need the help from a management company.
That's right.
And that's one of the ways that we can serve.
We're there to try and keep them out of trouble.
I tell you, it's just, to me, just another clear example of just how the media is just
it's so biased,
gone off on the deep end here in a story. When we hear the other side, you hear the side of the story where board people were trying to quickly get together and react, help people out, help people move out, and in the meantime, if people had difficulty, they were taking them to the grocery store, going to the grocery store for them.
Well, that was an ongoing thing. They'd always assisted their people with disabilities.
This was not a heartless an association in that. No. So it just goes to show that you got to read between the lines, folks, and just can't take these stories
at
just
face value.
No, not
right.
at all. Well, we need to take another break. When we come back, let's finally talk about this Connecticut legislator who says, I've got the answer to resolving most of all disputes in an HOA. Let's see if he does. We'll take a break right now. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.